Hello, once again. This is the Doctor of Digital, the book coach at the Doctor of Digital podcast. The purpose of the show is to transform your business and life with education and inspiration. I introduce busy people to trends and good ideas and improving your life by highlighting people you should know. What does it take to disrupt the status quo in the payment processing industry? Join me as I explore the innovative approach of Jeff Maine, CEO and president of Pay Proudly, and discover how his company is changing the game. With over 25 years of experience in the field, Jeff has built a reputation as a visionary leader committed to driving positive change. As a seasoned professional, Jeff has earned his MBA from St. Louis University and has been recognized for his charitable efforts, including being named the Leukemia Foundation's Man of the Year in 2020. With a passion for finance and a commitment to social responsibility, Jeff has led Pay Proudly to allocate 10% of all revenue to charitable foundations chosen by its business partners. During this episode, we'll do a deep dive into the changes and hot topics of payment systems and the biggest challenges. I will leverage the expertise of my guests and how to navigate the unique dynamics of the field. By the end of this episode, you'll be better equipped to know what to do, and I encourage you to contact my guest, Jeff Maine, CEO and president of Pay Proudly. With that, I want to welcome Jeff to the program. How you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Thank you so much for having me today.
You bet. So I'm really fascinated to get into this topic. It's something that hits me at both as a business person and personally. But I'm curious,
Yeah.
how did you get into this? What's the turning point or the pivotal point that you got you into this field?
Yeah, I tell people a lot of times I obviously didn't go to college to sell credit card processing or be in this payment space, right?
Sure.
Went to school and studied finance, and I had an opportunity in college to go out and sell for a company that was actually out of Texas, and they just needed a outside salesperson to go run some appointments that they had, and through a relationship and a friend of a friend, right, that I got this
Yeah.
phone call, and they knew I was in St. Louis, and they knew I could do this, um, and so I went out and did it, and I had a history of entrepreneurship. I owned a lawn company all through college. We did a little bit of everything, right, to make money, high school and college, and so I always had that spirit of being able to sell and go talk to people, and I enjoyed that, and that's what I wanted to do. So this opportunity came up, and I'm like, sure, I'll go, sell a few credit card machines. How hard can it be? So they sent me this leather portfolio, right? You sat down with the customer and you flipped the pages and walked them through this
Sure.
presentation, and I sold a few of them. It was awesome, and I got these commission checks, and I'm like, hey, this is pretty cool. So I kept doing it through college, and when I was finished with school, I had an opportunity to go work for a consulting company, one of your big consulting companies that I was going to be traveling the country, and I had a job offer, and doing consulting. I was actually going to be working in the PeopleSoft HR role of IT, and the best advice I ever got. My dad sat me down and he said, Jeff, you've had this entrepreneur spirit about you your whole life, and
Hmm.
you've got an opportunity right now that I wish I had at your age. And he said, you can go get this job that you've got, which is a wonderful job. People in college kill to go get these jobs, right? And they love them, and they're amazing. But he said, you right now don't have a family, you don't have a wife, you don't have big responsibilities in your life, and you've always wanted to work for yourself. He's like, go do it right now. Why
Yeah.
wait? Why get a job and make enough money where it's going to be really hard to ever walk away from that and do this? He said, take the risk and just go do it. If it doesn't work, you can go get this job in a year, in 2 years, or whenever you're ready. And he said, come move back home and live at my house, and I'll help you and I'll support you, and start your own business. And so that's what I did. That was the summer of 1999. And here we are, right, in 2025. And I've never worked for somebody else. I've always owned my own business and I've stayed in the payment processing world, right? So we've started payment processing companies. We've sold a few portfolios. We started an ACH Check 21 company that we were able to sell. I was in some partnerships in the processing world, which were fantastic. But there's always an end to those, right? Of time to walk
Yeah.
away. And about 3 years ago, I had the opportunity to walk away from a partnership and had an opportunity to do something different. And my wife and I were sitting at the table one day, and we've been super blessed in this industry. And she said, "What are you going to do? What are your next steps?" And I said, "You know what? I'm going to start a company." And I said that the biggest need in this world right now in our space is clarity in the payments world. There is just no clarity. And I said, business owners don't understand it. And the majority of processing companies are set up in an essence that they're just out there selling, right? Just selling hard. And it's not really about the service on the backside. I said, I want to flip that, and I want to
Mhm.
service more than we sell. Obviously, we have to sell, but I want to give the A+ service. I want to service our accounts. I want to take care of them. I want to answer the phone when they call. I want to service the heck out of them. And I know we can't grow to the size of other companies if we do that, but I'm okay with that.
Mhm.
That's okay. And I said, because that's going to be our model, and we're going to take what a normal attrition level is up here, and we're going to bring it way down here. So we're not going to have to work as
Okay.
hard in sales, because we're going to keep the customers that we have. And that's exactly what we've done. And so we
Got it.
wrote our mission. That was the first part of our mission: bring clarity to business owners. And then the second part of our mission was just something that was important to my wife and I. And that was to have a give back function in our business, that we wanted from the day one
Mhm.
of our business to give back to our local community in the form of transactions, because that's the world we live in, right? We live in a transaction world. And so that's what we did. We built a
Sure.
give back program. That's how the name Pay Proudly came into effect, because we wanted business owners to be able to pay proudly. And so we support local nonprofits through our businesses transactions, and we give the credit back to our business owners for those donations that we make on a monthly basis, because without the business owners, we're not writing the checks. And so we've made
Right.
a huge mark on our local community through our donations. And it's been a great thing. I kind of felt like that was just a personal thing for us. It's become a really big part of our business. We have employees that want to work for us because of our giving. It's amazing. Things that I never
Got it.
saw or thought would happen are happening because of our giving. So it's been wonderful. We love it.
That's
Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome.
been fantastic. So that's what we're doing.
And it's a heartwarming story. It's a good advice from a father, and also helping a community, which is really a kind of an American tradition, and I think it really makes it proud to be an American in some ways.
Absolutely.
I was curious, I mean, because this is such a changeable field, what kind of things that have you seen changes in the payment processing
Man,
area?
we've seen a lot since I've been involved in it, right? So from the early days, about not my coffee off
Yeah.
the table, from the early days of us being in this industry, we were selling little square box credit card machines, right, with a detached printer and a knuckle buster, even sometimes, right? The old slide, ruler things that and you'd set the credit card in there, and that's how you get your receipt. And today, we're out there with technology, from all the EMV stuff that you have to, the chip reads, and the point of sale systems, and the ability to do recurring payments and online. And hey, this is a big thing too: cell phone payments, and being able to take credit cards out in the field, and integrating into solutions, right? So there's all kinds of, this industry, a lot of people think it's a one size fits all industry. And if you go to your local bank and you want to set up for processing, that's what they do, right? It's a kind of a one size fits all, but that's not the case in this industry. This industry has, based on your business and how you want to take credit cards and what you're doing, and from a technology standpoint of where we're going. And today we're going even into banking, where we can give immediate deposit of your funds, right? So these processors are going to become a bank now, because we're dealing with 90 to 95% of your money already. So now when you process a payment, I can give you immediate access to that money in a bank account with a debit card, that you can go spend it right now. Take a credit card, spend it right now.
Mhm.
And that's where it's going to go, right? Is it's going to morph into, and then we're going to be handling your incoming money, your outgoing money, your bill pay, a lot of your different things. So the technology from our world is totally changing and evolving, and moving with the direction of businesses and what they need.
So that's what I'm curious about, sort of like the hot topics and the next thing. I guess maybe you could say a little bit more about what do
Yeah.
you see coming and what are we where
Yeah,
are we
so
at
I
now?
think in our industry, the big thing that's coming is the banking side, right? That's the next big piece, and the leading processors are leading the charge in that, and they're going to be, doing your banking for you. They're going to be requesting your banking, and that doesn't mean you don't still have your local bank account, because you can, but you're going to have an online bank account through a processor, and you're going to be able to log into that, and you're going to be able to see your funds, and you're going to be able to have that immediate access to your funds. You're going to be able to borrow against those funds, because now the processor has
Mhm.
all your data. They already know because we've already underwritten your processing account, right? So if you need access to money, we're going to be able to give you a line of credit in minutes with no credit pull, no nothing, because we know your processing, we've already underwritten you, so we already have all your
Mhm.
data, right? So we know all the details to your stuff, and we're going to be able to give you that, and then we can even set up subdivided bank accounts for you, and move your money around. We can do money market accounts. So that's where it's all going, in the future, is the banking side.
When people think of payment processing, I mean, the first thing that comes to mind are like
Yeah,
Venmo and things like,
yeah,
PayPal. So what could you say, how do
yep.
you compare that and how do you fit
Yeah,
into that
so your
scene?
Venmos, your PayPals, even your Squares of the world, right, are great solutions for the right people.
Sure.
We tell people all the time, hey, you need to go set up an account with Square. This is, for a brand new startup business that's not going to be processing many transactions. Those are great options for them. But as a business gets up and running and processing payments, and you're doing, 5, 10,000 plus a month of volume, you've outgrown
Yeah,
those solutions,
right.
and it's time to talk to a professional in the
Okay.
space that you can look at and say, what else can you do for me? And that's the conversations we're having. We're not having the, what are you doing today, let's just mimic it. I'm having the conversation with business owners of, tell me about your business, tell me how you take credit cards, tell me how you accept payments. Are you in a vertical that you can offset your credit card fees? Are you in a vertical that you need a point of sale system? Do you need to be tracking inventory? Do you need to be doing recurring payments? Do you need an ability for somebody to pay you from your website? Do you need the ability to take credit cards on a cell phone? What do you need? So let's really talk through, how do you
Okay.
interact with your customers, and how do they pay you? And then based on those answers, we're going to come up with solutions that we're going to present to the business owner. So
And that's what I'm curious about. My next question is about for business owners. Walk us
yeah.
through the process. So, are you working with small businesses,
Yeah,
medium
so
size,
we
large?
work
What's
with,
that process like?
the majority of our businesses that we're signing today, I'm going to tell you, are in that, say, $20,000 a month processing to 500,000 a month of processing. That's where the majority of our accounts come in at.
Right.
And I would say, if you take even that amount of them, probably the 20 to the 100, 150, 160 is probably 70% of that box of business. And then you get into the larger accounts. Now, we have accounts that process $10 million a month in processing, so we can do those businesses, and we do. You just don't have a lot of those, right? You don't walk into those doors every day. But when you get into that medical world or in that retail world, you have a lot of 50 to $150,000 a month businesses. There's a lot of those, and payments and electronic payments. So that's the
So,
majority.
and that's it. I guess I'm curious about the
Yeah,
businesses. So what do you recommend businesses? Because they all
yeah,
have this problem,
yeah,
right? We all know this. It's a difficult back end kind of process, and
yeah.
that's a back end I really don't pay much attention to, but they need it. So
Well,
what is that
yeah.
like for a
So
business
here's
owner?
what I tell business owners all the time. This industry is not a fun industry to talk about. It's not a fun industry to be involved in. Business
Yeah.
owners look at us like used car salesmen, right? Period. That's what it's got this icky kind of feeling about it, right? Because business owners don't understand it, and so there's companies like ours who are trying to make a difference in that, right? We want to be different. We don't want to be that icky feeling, right? And so we're doing a good job of that, but business owners have forever, because of the feeling of the industry, They set up for it and they walk away from it. They don't think about it anymore. It works, and I'm just not even going to think about it. Okay. I tell all of my customers and potential customers and anybody I talk to, this is something you should be looking at on an annual basis. You should be doing an annual review of your payment processing.
Mm.
And if you're not, you're missing it, because think about, we represent, 85, 90, 95% of your income, and you're not thinking about it. you know it's something you need to think about. It's something you need to learn. You need to be educated on it. You need to understand why you pay what you pay and how you process, and are there other options out there. MasterCard and Visa are allowing you to give a cash and a credit price today. You can do it if you do it in a compliant manner. And you're starting to see more and more of that. When you go to restaurants, you're seeing that cash and credit price, right? So, for business owners to
Yes.
eliminate credit card fees, because they're real. It's a real thing. But you have to be compliant about it. And if you're not talking to your processor or your company that you deal with, you're missing out on this stuff. And there's a lot of ways around it and rules. And you know there's a difference in cash and credit pricing and surcharging. You can surcharge as well, where surcharging only happens on a credit card. It doesn't happen on a debit card. Well, debit cards are hitting the lowest interchange
Mm.
category. So we can take effective rates, and I talk a lot with my business owners about effective rate. And effective rate does is all your fees divided by what your processing is. That's your effective rate of what you pay. So we can take your effective rate from 3% down to 1.5% if all we're charging for is debit cards. So there's a lot of things that we can do to help business owners reduce those fees and not have a lot of the kickback that they think they're going to have when we do this. So it's just having conversations. And that's really what it boils down to. Go out and learn and talk to companies like ours and have conversations with people that are willing to ask you questions and learn about your business to give you the proper solutions.
Yeah, and I can see so many cases where things
Oh,
break down, and that's why I'm really interested in
yeah,
what you're doing, because a person who's not getting the money coming in, then you have to go to a staff person. It's
that's
a
right.
convoluted system. It wastes resources. Yeah, so I mean, that's what I think would be
For
real
sure.
advantage here.
For sure.
And so when you are walking through the process, in other words, a
Mhm.
typical business owner hasn't really paid attention. I agree with your point. It's like they kind of assume all this is money's coming in, but they don't really understand that process. And what is that like? And what's a conversation like in order to get some assistance
Yeah,
to the
so we
business
have
owner?
these conversations every day with business owners, and basically we're talking to them about what their needs are, and I'm going to be asking questions, about your customer interaction. Are you in a retail environment? Are you face to face out in the field? Are you on the phone? How are you interacting with your customers? And then based on the answers to those questions, we're going to start talking about solutions, right? We're going to start talking about, do you need a point of sale system? Do you need something to track inventory and to track employment time and pricing and all this other stuff? Or do you need a website to be able to take credit cards? Or do you need a back office virtual terminal that you can
Mhm.
log into? Do you have a need for payment plans? We can set up payment plans for your customers with start and stop dates and different amounts, and we can do recurring payments, and we can do so. We have to learn what is your interaction, what is your business, and
Oh,
based on obviously 25 years of this. If you call me and you say, hey, I'm a dentist office and here's what I'm doing, I'm gonna start asking you questions around what a dental do you want to take credit cards in the rooms where people are getting their teeth cleaned? Do you want to do recurring payments for membership plans? Do you want to do payment terms for
mhm.
big procedures? And so, but based on your business, I'm going to start asking directed questions, because we've dealt with these businesses, right? Or if you're a retail store, well, what point of sales have you looked at? What inventory, what is, so we're not going to ask the same questions to everybody. We're going to gear them towards what type of business you're in.
Right. And I think based on what the questions, I don't know if every business owner
Yeah,
has an answer to those
but they really
questions.
need
In
to.
other words, they
Yeah,
kind of assume it, but
yeah.
yeah. Yeah. because every business is different and they may not be aware of the options that you can
Yeah,
present because they're kind of like, well, this is the way we've always done it
absolutely.
and it doesn't really work, but we
You're
don't have the
absolutely
solution.
right.
I'm curious if you could give us some, yeah, and give us some actionable tips. In other words, I don't think most of the business owners, small, medium size, are thinking about this, but what are some actionable tips that
Yeah.
you can
Well,
provide
I
for
think
a
the
business
first
owner?
thing is to understand what you're paying today. What are you doing today, right? How are you accepting payments and what are you paying? I can't tell you how many people we talk to that one of two things. I don't know what I'm paying. We get that all the time. And we also get, well, I think I'm
Yeah,
paying
I
this
would think.
because that's what I was told 3 years ago. And, uh, and,
Right.
when I signed up, and 99% of the time, that's not what they're paying. And so, we have a AI proposal tool that we can take a statement. And the one thing that I will say on the show that I think everybody needs to understand is if you call somebody and you say, what, a lot of business owners are going to say, hey, Jeff, what's your rate? What are you going to charge me? Well, if I pull 5 credit cards out of my wallet right now, all 5 of them are going to qualify in your business at a different rate for you, Mr. Business Owner. So if I tell
Yes.
you what my rate is, I'm really not being honest with you because I don't know what your mix of cards is. I don't know how you take cards. I don't know anything about your business. And without the knowledge, I can't tell you what your rate's going to be. Now, I can take your last month's statement
Hmm.
and I can run it through our AI proposal tool that reads every single line of your statement, how every card qualified, and I can give you an apples to apples approach. And I'm
Yep.
going to come back and I'm going to say, your effective rate was this, and this is what we can do business with you at. Okay. And then we're going to start talking about that. Do you want, what options do you want? Where do you want to be? And I think that's where they need to go. They need to get an apples to apples comparison. They need to really go out and talk to companies that are going to look at everything on their statement and they're going to give them a true comparison to what they're paying. It's a free service that we offer. Anybody who wants to use us for it, and they can take that comparison right back to their current processor and probably lower their rate.
Mm,
Okay.
I see.
They may want to do business with
Yeah.
us, but if they don't want to do business with us, take our proposal and use it to get better rates. Use us. We're here. We want to do it. We have the tool. It doesn't cost us anything to do it. Just give us a call. It costs us a little bit of time. And we'd love to give that proposal back to you.
Yeah. And I think this ties into the whole giving back to the community and the charitable efforts too, which is like, okay, you're helping yourself, but you're helping
Right.
community too and helping others. That's just
Yeah.
pretty awesome. I'm wondering how does a person get in touch with you? Speaking of what a business owner ought to do, what's the best way? Is there a website or things like that so they
Yeah,
can get more
absolutely. We have
information?
a website, payproudly.com. And all of our contact information's out there. I'm on LinkedIn. Feel free to look me up on LinkedIn. Would love to, have conversations with you. Shoot me an email, jmaine at payproudly.com. We want to talk with business owners. We want to have these conversations. It's what we enjoy to do. And it's super quick, super simple. This is a 5 to 10 minute conversation. This isn't something you need to shave 30 minutes off. We're going to have a quick conversation with you. We're going to ask you some questions. We're going to learn about your business, and then we'll have a follow-up call after that. But it's no pressure, and we're just going to answer your questions and learn about your business. If you want it to go longer, we can go longer. But really, we can do this in a 10-minute call.
That's pretty awesome, and that's really
Yeah,
helpful as well too, just have a conversation, just see if it helps, and I think you're exactly right, you nail it because most business owners, 99%, like you said, don't
for
really
sure.
understand the process, don't know what they do, and don't have the options that you may be
That's right.
able to offer them, so I appreciate all of that. Thank you so much for being a guest today, I learned a lot, it's an interesting field, and it's something like a gateway to the West because 'cause you're in St. Louis, but it's like also the heartland of America. I love that as well too. Thanks,
Well, I
Jeff. I
sure
appreciate the
appreciate being on
time.
your show. I will, in full disclosure, I am not still in St. Louis. I'm on the East Coast now, over on the coast, and enjoying life over here. But we do a lot of business in St. Louis, and throughout the United States. So we're looking forward to talking to your listeners and doing business with them and helping them understand their payments better.
Outstanding. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Thanks, Jeff. All right. So I learned a lot, and hopefully you did as well too. So it's anywhere Jeff is, I think it's the heartland of America and its values, not only helping himself, but the rest of the people in the community as well. I appreciate your time and the choices that you make. You spent some time with us today. I want to thank the supporters of the program, and hopefully you like the podcast as well. Those are the publishers of both Burning America and On Track Ian Hunter. Both of those volumes are available on Amazon. And of course, if you want to reach out to me and know more about what I do, I'm the idea to author coach, guiding your journey from draft to best-selling author. I help authors publish their books. I help authors sell more books. And if you want to join the Facebook group, reach out to me. I am available. Once again, this is the Doctor of Digital. I appreciate your time. I appreciate the efforts that you would make to stop by today. Thank you for listening. Until next time, this is the